What if I told you that some of the most powerful people in history weren't kings or generals, or even allowed to vote? For centuries, women have shaped empires and sparked revolutions, often from the shadows. Their stories aren't just footnotes. They're the backbone of our world. Women have ruled empires, commanded armies, and broken scientific barriers, often while the world tried to silence them. Today, we're stepping into their stories, not as legends, but as real human beings. And trust me, some of this will surprise you. These are the women whose names echo through time, not because they were allowed to lead, but because they insisted on it. Let's start in ancient Egypt, a land of mystery and power, where the Nile River flowed through the heart of a civilization that would captivate the world for millennia. When you hear Cleopatra, do you picture a seductress? Hollywood got it wrong, focusing on allure rather than her true strength. The real Cleopatra was a political mastermind and a living goddess to her people, revered and respected in equal measure. She ruled Egypt at its most vulnerable, surrounded by enemies and threatened by Rome, yet she stood firm, a beacon of resilience. Cleopatra didn't just survive, she thrived, turning challenges into opportunities and securing her place in history. She spoke 9 languages, negotiated with diplomats, and outmaneuvered rivals, showcasing her unmatched diplomatic prowess. She kept Egypt independent as long as possible, even as Rome closed in, a testament to her strategic brilliance. Cleopatra used image and tradition to reinforce her power, styling herself as the goddess Isis, intertwining her rule with divine authority. Her alliances with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were strategic, not just romantic, carefully crafted to secure Egypt's future. Every move was calculated for Egypt's survival, a chess game where the stakes were the fate of a nation. Yet history often reduces her to a woman brought down by love, overshadowing her true achievements. In truth, she fought to keep her country alive, using every tool she had, from diplomacy to warfare. Even as propaganda painted her as dangerous, she controlled the narrative at home, a master of public perception. Cleopatra's fall marked the end of Egypt's independence, a poignant moment in history. But her legacy endures, not because of scandal, but because she refused to be anything less than a ruler, a leader of unparalleled vision. She showed us leadership isn't about gender, it's about vision and resilience, qualities that transcend time. So next time you hear her name, picture the strategist who faced down empires, a woman of indomitable spirit. Cleopatra bent history to her will, if only for a time, leaving an indelible mark on the world. Now let's travel back in time to medieval France, a land of rolling hills, ancient forests, and bustling villages, where life was often harsh and uncertain. Picture a world torn by war, a country divided, its people living in fear as armies clashed and cities burned. Into this chaos steps Joan of Arc, a teenage peasant girl with no claim to power, no noble blood, and no formal training in warfare. She believed she was called by a higher power to save her country, and acted with breathtaking courage that defied her humble origins. Joan's conviction was so strong that she convinced the future King of France, Charles VII, to trust her with command of an army. A feat almost unthinkable for someone of her background. Imagine, a 17-year-old girl clad in shining armor, leading seasoned soldiers into battle, her presence both inspiring and astonishing to all who witnessed it. She wasn't just a figurehead. Joan strategized, inspired, and led from the front, earning the respect of hardened warriors and the admiration of her people. Her presence on the battlefield turned the tide of the 100 Years' War, rallying the French forces and giving them hope when all seemed lost. Joan shattered every expectation of what a woman could achieve in her time, breaking barriers and rewriting the rules of history. She challenged not only the English invaders, but also centuries of tradition that said women could not lead or fight. The risks were enormous. Capture meant certain death, and every step forward was a step into danger. But Joan pressed forward, driven by unshakable faith and a sense of purpose that inspired those around her to believe in miracles. Her leadership forced even her enemies to see her as a force to be reckoned with, someone whose determination could not be ignored. Joan's trial and execution were meant to erase her impact, to silence her story, but instead, they only deepened her legend and made her memory even more powerful. Even as she faced the flames, Joan inspired others to keep fighting for freedom and justice, her courage shining through to the very end. Her martyrdom turned her into a symbol of hope and resilience. a beacon for generations to come. Centuries later, Joan is remembered as a saint, a national hero, and a symbol of the power of conviction. But above all, she was a young woman who dared to do the impossible, proving that age and background are no barriers to greatness. She reminds us that power isn't always inherited. It's seized by the bold, by those willing to stand up and lead when others hesitate. Joan's story proves you don't need a title or a crown to change the world. Sometimes, the greatest revolutions begin with a single courageous voice. Sometimes, all it takes is the courage to act, and the willingness to believe that one person truly can make a difference. Now, let's step into Renaissance England. Elizabeth I was born into turmoil. Her mother executed, her legitimacy questioned. Yet when she took the throne, she transformed England into a world power. Elizabeth knew power was as much about perception as action. She never married, using her status as the Virgin Queen to maintain independence. Her singleness became a symbol for her people. Under her reign, England faced threats from rebellion and the Spanish Armada. Elizabeth responded with brilliant messaging, not just force. Her speech at Tilbury, clad in armor, galvanized a nation. She became more than a monarch. She was England itself. Elizabeth surrounded herself with talented advisors, but always made the final call. She balanced religious and political factions, managed nobles, and navigated alliances. She fostered the arts, supported explorers, and built a national identity. Her reign lasted 45 years, a monumental achievement. Through scandal and assassination plots, she kept her kingdom united and strong. Elizabeth's story teaches us that power can be crafted by intellect, by image, by reinvention. Remember the mind behind the throne, a woman who turned her vulnerabilities into strengths. Now, let's move into the world of science, a world shaped by curiosity, determination, and the courage to challenge the unknown. Marie Curie was born in Poland, at a time when women weren't welcomed in universities or scientific circles. But her passion for discovery was unstoppable. Even as a young girl, she devoured books and taught herself advanced science, often studying late into the night by candlelight. She moved to Paris, enrolled at the Sorbonne, and scraped by on determination, living in tiny, cold rooms, sometimes going hungry, but never giving up on her dream. Marie discovered two new elements, polonium and radium, redefining what was possible in chemistry and physics. Her groundbreaking research into radioactivity laid the groundwork for modern physics and medicine, opening doors to new treatments and technologies. She became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and the first person ever to win it twice, in two different scientific fields. But her journey was never easy. The path to discovery was filled with obstacles and personal sacrifice. Marie faced skepticism, discrimination, and danger. Her achievements often questioned simply because she was a woman. She worked in makeshift labs, handling substances whose risks no one understood, risking her health for the sake of science. Yet she never let doubt or hardship stop her. Through harsh winters and long nights, she pressed on. During World War I, she developed mobile X-ray units, known as Little Curies, and brought them to the front lines, saving countless lives. She trained other women, empowering a generation to use science for humanity and proving that women belonged in the laboratory. Despite global recognition, Marie remained humble and focused, always putting her work and the pursuit of knowledge first. She raised two daughters, both accomplished scientists, passing on her love of learning and her fearless spirit. Marie Curie's real legacy is her persistence, her refusal to be limited by prejudice or fear, and her belief that science could change the world. She broke barriers so others could follow, inspiring generations of women and men to pursue their dreams in science. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is keep asking questions and keep pushing forward, no matter the odds. Marie Curie showed us that brilliance knows no boundaries. Finally, let's sit with the story of Rosa Parks. December 1st, 1955, Montgomery, Alabama. A quiet woman boards a bus and changes history with a simple, steadfast no. Rosa wasn't the first to resist segregation, but her defiance became the spark for the civil rights movement. She was a longtime activist, deeply involved in the struggle for equality. She knew the risks: arrest, violence, loss of livelihood. Yet, when the moment came, she acted with the weight of history behind her. Her arrest galvanized a community. The Montgomery bus boycott lasted over a year, fueled by ordinary people refusing injustice. Rosa became a symbol, not just of resistance, but of the power in standing your ground. Her story didn't end with that bus ride. She spent her life working for justice and mentoring young activists. Her power was quiet, but unbreakable. Rosa Parks teaches us you don't need to command armies to change the world. Sometimes history turns because one person refuses to yield. Rosa's legacy is the movement she helped launch, and the doors she opened for generations. Power doesn't always look like a crown. Sometimes it looks like persistence, intellect, defiance, or belief. The women we've met today remind us that history is shaped every day by those who refuse to be invisible. So next time someone says history was shaped by great men, ask, were powerful women there all along, rewriting the world? Their stories aren't just inspiration, they're a call to action. If this video changed the way you see history, hit subscribe, comment below. Which powerful woman should we cover next? And share this with someone who needs a reminder that influence doesn't depend on permission. Because history isn't just something we study, it's something we continue to write.